So this particular company is transforming matter and is increasing the economic pie by about $1.5 million worth of wealth in terms of rocks. Now, a company has its costs and it also has its sales revenue. The sales revenue is a measure of by how much wealth it has increased the economic pie. So this company has increased the economic pie by $1.5 million worth of wealth in terms of rocks. And it has consumed or decreased the economic pie by about $1 million worth of all the things that all the mining employees consume from the economic pie. So the difference of $500,000 is a measure of by how much wealth the economic pie has been increased overall. So again, we have just looked at an example where we can see how a company is like a mini human ant farm, which is involved in a continuous cycle of production and consumption. The costs of a company are a measure of how much wealth is consumed from the economic pie. The sales revenue is a measure of how much wealth has been added to the economic pie, and the profit, which is the difference between that which has been added and that which has been consumed, is a measure of by how much wealth the economic pie has been increased. Now, this cycle of production and consumption also occurs at a single individual level. A mining employee, he constantly trades each hour of his labor with the mining company. Every hour the mining employee, he increases the world's economic pie by his labor. Then he trades that labor every hour with the mining company, and the mining company gives him some money for it. For example, maybe $20 an hour. So from the perspective of the mining company, it values the employee's labor more than the $20 he gives up every hour for it. And from the perspective of the employee, he values the $20 he gets from the mining company more than all the other things he could be doing with his labor. So we can see how both social entities move from an inferior to a superior state by trading. Then the employee takes that money, which he got in exchange for the labor he added to the economic pie, and then he uses it to consume cars, food, energy, etc. from the economic pie. Now, so again, now we can see how even individuals are also involved in the cycle. Now, let's say that the company is breaking even. What does that mean? That means that the company's cost, how much it's consuming from the economic pie, is about the same as that which it is adding to the economic pie. If the company is at a loss, that means that it is consuming more wealth from the economic pie than that which is adding, the company is in trouble. In order for it to do so, it needs savings, right? Somebody else needs to lend that money. And something similar happens on an individual basis. If an individual produces more than that which he consumes, he can be seen as a profitable entity. Whether it's a company or an individual, when you're profitable, you are producing more than that which you are consuming, so you're making the economic pie bigger. And if the individual is in debt, when a human being is in debt, that means that you have consumed more than that which you added to the economic pie. For example, if you borrow $100,000 to pay for college, those $100,000 are going to lead to the consumption of wealth. All the professors and all the people that are educating you, those people are consuming wealth from the economic pie. And then at some point, you're going to have to work hard enough to repay all of that wealth, which eventually went to all of those professors. So again, just picture it in your mind. The human ant farm is constantly buzzing along. Everybody's trading. Every time we trade, we increase from an inferior to a superior state of well-being. And we are producing and consuming and so on in this never-ending cycle. Our sample mining company is profitable because the knowledge that guided its employees led to a profit, to more production than consumption. This profitable knowledge encompasses everything about the company, like the location of where to place the mining equipment, the sequence of steps taken by the miners in order to properly do their jobs. Even the very morals of the employees are important ingredients of this profitable knowledge. For example, the employees have to show up to work on time. They have to treat each other with respect in order to avoid the sort of internal turmoil that can prevent production. It's important that we keep in mind that all production is guided by action, and all action is guided by knowledge. So the better the knowledge, the more production we will have. Now, how can we be sure that as companies and individuals are more profitable and the economic pie gets bigger and bigger and bigger, that even the poorest members of society get a bigger slice of material prosperity? Easy. Imagine you're in a shipwreck and you end up in an island that has 100 inhabitants, and each one of them has this magical device that can just create all the food that you want by pressing a button. Well, Dan wants your help building a boat. Mike wants your help building a house. So Dan says, you know what, I can just give you all the food that you want as long as you're working for me. But then Mike says, oh, I'll just let you use my food machine whenever you want. And then Dan says, oh, well, I'll let you use my food machine whenever you want, and when you finish helping me create my boat, I'll help you build a boat as well. So you see, since the value of the food, since creating the food takes so little effort for them compared to how much they want your labor, they're willing, they have no choice to compete against each other and offer you these greater quantities of food. Now, something similar happens in society. The wealthier society is, the more wealth employers will have to offer in exchange for labor as they compete with each other. And this is why, as the economic pie gets bigger and bigger and bigger, all of this wealth inevitably has to be offered in exchange for labor. And reality easily verifies this. In a wealthy country like the United States, poor people still make a lot more wealth than very hardworking people in sub-Saharan African countries that are very poor, right? So again, from now on, we do not have to worry exactly think about how it happens. We just have to concentrate ourselves in increasing the economic pie. And as the economic pie gets bigger, that wealth will have to be offered in exchange for labor. So, what do we want for mankind? We want to reorder the human ant farm in the most efficient and productive way as possible, right? So that we are constantly creating more and more wealth, so that even the poorest member of society, by just having a very simple job where he might not even have to work that much, he can afford good health care, good housing, time off so he can spend with his family, and so on. That is what we want, right? In order to do this, we're going to have to come up with a way to morph the human ant farm in a way that is vastly more productive than it is today. So how do we go about doing this? Easy. We do this via individual economic freedom. When human beings are free to do whatever they want, as long as they don't harm anyone else or their property and don't cheat or lie on their contracts, this inadvertently spawns a chain reaction of economic forces that reorders human beings in the most productive way possible. Now, it's just a short video, or whatever time we have left, we can only go over two mechanisms that help this happen. The first one we will deal with is economic competition. Competition is one of the key mechanisms that helps spread superior knowledge and productive order across society. For example, say an auto manufacturer has come up with a way of reducing costs by 50%. This means that it has discovered superior knowledge. It will now consume half as much from the economic pie while still producing as much, or perhaps maybe even more, leaving the economic pie a lot bigger. Because of this, it will want to lower its selling price a little bit so that it can draw sales away from all the other competitors and make a bigger profit. Now, two important things happen that we'll want to look at. Number one is that by lowering its prices, the rest of society has more money left over to spend on other things, essentially having a bigger economic pie. The second thing that happens is that the lower prices by this company forces all the competitors to copy the superior knowledge embodied in this company across their brains and morphing their mini human ant farm, their small social order, to be just as efficiently structured as this original competitor. So one can see how competition is a mechanism that spreads superior knowledge and the subsequent social order that emerges from it across all of society. At the very beginning, when a company comes up with a great new idea, it might make a very big profit, but as competitors copy that knowledge, they too can lower their prices and compete with this company. So as they compete with each other, their selling prices will be going down. And as the selling prices goes down, that means that the savings and the economic pie available to the rest of society keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You see, society as a whole can be seen as a large supercomputer that is made up of many smaller computers which happen to be individual human brains. Each brain in the social order is constantly looking for ways of restructuring a section of the social order in a way that it produces more than that which it consumes, therefore making a bigger profit so that each one of us can have more wealth and have a better life. As prices continuously fall, new profitable ideas arise and spread via competition in an endless cycle of knowledge generation. For example, there was a time when computers were very expensive, but thanks to competition, prices of the computers constantly kept going down until at some point people realized that every home could have them, and eventually one could connect them all and create this wonderful internet. And then things on the internet keep getting cheaper to the point where all of us have free email, and many of us don't even ever bother in deleting our messages, right? And you can create videos on the internet for free. Now, due to our maladapted intuition and economic ignorance,